Tim Koegel has become an exceptional presenter, and he wants to do the same for you. He's been doing this for a number of years for people from politicians to those in the boardroom wearing suits. But this also applies to the average person, so stay tuned. Tim Koegel, welcome. Glad you're here. You wrote the book. The book is entitled The Exceptional Presenter, a proven formula to open up and to own the room. We've got the book right here. I read it last night. And how does this apply to the average person? Well, really, think about it. I mean, you've got the presenters. Tell me.
Yeah, most people don't think of themselves as presenters, but if you open your mouth to speak in public, you're a public speaker. So one of my goals of the book is to have people broaden their definition of what they think of as a presentation. The worst thing I hear is people say, well, I only do 1 or 2 presentations a year. But those may be formal client situations or maybe a keynote presentation. But we're in constant contact, whether it's one-on-one, small group, you're at a networking function, that's a presentation. You're leaving a voicemail message, that's a presentation. So the skills in the book apply to anybody who communicates as part of their career.
One thing that I was thinking of also as an individual is if you have to present a case to a mechanic. For a woman, that's not always an easy thing. Would these also apply?
They apply anytime. If your neighbor's dog is waking you up in the middle of the night barking, how do you walk up to that door and knock on the door and approach that person? But even PTA meetings, the parent-teacher meetings, you're having a homeowners association meeting and you're trying to get something passed within that organization, those are huge. And if you're prepared, if you have an organized message, you're prepared and you deliver that information effectively, it doesn't guarantee you're going to win every time, but you should never lose a situation or a presentation or proposal because you were less than exceptional.
Exceptional is a pretty big word.
It is. And I mentioned on the first page, exceptional, being an exceptional presenter doesn't mean being perfect, being flawless. Take myself, for example. I know that it's not about not making mistakes, because we're all going to make mistakes, and the harder you try to be perfect, the more mistakes you're going to make. But it's about understanding what are the key points that this person or this group has to understand, and what can I do to make sure they understand it. They walk out of the room remembering the 1 or 2 key points. And
you make several key points in your book, which I believe the words open up lead to. Can you give us a brief overview? Yes. Open Up is an acronym.
The title of the book came from studying speakers all the way back when I was in college. And I found that exceptional presenters tended to do 6 things, that they had 6 characteristics. They open up. They're organized, meaning their message is clear, concise, and compelling. And they look organized when they begin the presentation. They're passionate. Passion is all delivery. You can have a great written speech, but if you don't look like you believe it, why would the audience believe it? They engage the audience at every level as early and as often as possible. They connect with the audience. And then they're natural, meaning they're conversational. It doesn't sound like a speech. It doesn't sound scripted. It doesn't sound like they're going off bullet points. And the up in Open Up is they understand the audience. Exceptional presenters understand the group they're speaking to so they can connect earlier. And then finally, the P is for practice. I've yet to find anybody history considers exceptional who didn't make themselves exceptional. I've yet to find somebody who said, I've always just been a great presenter. They worked at it and they made themselves exceptional.
And anybody can do this?
I believe anybody can do this, okay. Absolutely.
And one of the interesting things I found about your book is that it's not just a book, and it's, by the way, a very easy read, very nice.
Thank you.
But also it has actually less things you have to do, homework,
right. I tried
assignments.
To make, right. I tried to make this as much like a workshop as possible. I didn't want to write a 400-page textbook because people don't have time to read it. So I wanted something people could literally get through in an hour and a half to 2 hours and then use it as a resource to go back. But it is like a workbook in the fact that it has worksheets in there, has preparation sheets where if you have a presentation coming up, go in the back, tear out one of those preparation pages after you've read Chapter 4 on organizing the message, and then run through, have your first 60 seconds of the presentation nailed. But it also has practice charts in there. It has self-assessment forms. So I really wanted to make it an interactive book that a year after somebody has it should be marked up, bent pages, highlighted, reworked, pages torn out.
Really not something you want to have to lend around.
Exactly.
Sure.
That's exactly right.
And you can read it. You don't have to go in order. I found, too. If you want to just practice one skill, you can just go to that chapter and work on it.
Yes. I think it's a good idea to go through the skill sets, because what I've tried to do with the Open Up acronym is break down all the skills that make up an exceptional presentation and then show people how to work on those skills individually and how to try to master those skills by practicing just in your normal daily routines, your normal communication efforts.
And it's not just the what comes out of your mouth. It's also the way you say it, the body language, what you wear, yes?
Absolutely. A lot of people completely overlook the fact that the vast majority of impact you have when you communicate is nonverbal or it's your voice. As a matter of fact, Morabian studies, you might have seen in the book, Dr. Albert Morabian determined that 7% of your impact is determined by the words you use, 38% is your voice, how confident, comfortable you sound, and 55% is nonverbal. If I'm saying I'm confident you're going to be around here 3 years from now, that's different than I'm saying, hey, I'm confident you're going to be around here 3 years from now. But where if I'm looking away and down, you're not going to think you're going to be. If I'm your superior and I'm saying that and I'm not looking at you while I'm saying it, you're not going to believe what I'm saying. So if our body language contradicts our words and our tone of voice, you're going to buy into the body language.
If you had one tip that you could leave with people right now, what would that be? What's the best tip to get them started in being a better presenter?
The best tip is what I mentioned earlier. Think of yourself as a communicator, as a presenter. Whether you ever do a stand-up presentation, even if you're just in staff meetings, you're a communicator. Even if you're not saying anything, your body language, if you're not verbally saying anything, your body language, your eye contact are reflecting feelings and comments. So broaden that definition of what you think of as a presentation to include all forms of communication.
The book, The Exceptional Presenter, a proven formula to open up and own the room. Tim Koegel, thank you very much for joining us.